Hey, this is CinemaStix, Danny Boyd. So, a couple weeks ago, I talked about how author Frank Miller got involved in turning his Sin City darling into a major motion picture, and how it changes what it means to adapt a page to the screen when you have the original author not just involved, but directing.
Maybe you are right.
It was a very unique case. I think however you feel about Sin City, the movie demonstrates a very novel approach to the making of a comic book movie, especially at the time. So today, I want to expand on all that and look this time not at the how of how it happened, but the how of how they actually pulled it off. How Frank Miller, Robert Rodriguez, his co-directors, and the visual effects teams managed to turn the high stylization of Miller's original Sin City stories into a living, breathing graphic novel on film, or more accurately, on high-definition digital, and with a lot of green screen. Now, I love practical sets. I also love movies shot on real film. Those are two elements of filmmaking that, to me, contribute to a tangible sense of reach out and taste it movie watching. But Sin City isn't meant to be real. It isn't meant to be a recreation of anything we might call actuality, or even a question of blending fantastic elements with, say, a familiar place. Instead, Rodriguez says,
you have these layers of unreality being presented as the world that you're in when you're in Sin City.
You have a movie designed to emulate the look of a graphic novel that even for a comic is extreme. Extreme in those layers, in its noir, in its contrast, lighting, shadows, and for Rodriguez?
This sort of realization early on convinced me that we'd have to make the movie in green screen. The only way we'd be able to isolate actors from their backgrounds, and a lot of times from each other, was to shoot on green screen, because then we could put lights anywhere, give them the edge that's needed when you shoot black and white. I like that style in Frank's book, and I wanted to do that in the movie, so we separated everybody and chose their costumes very carefully, and would use layering in order to separate people from the backgrounds.
In most movies that we watch, color inherently aids in separating the physical layers of a shot. That's why you can't just strip the color from any random movie and expect good results. The red Iceland objects in Sin City were used knowing they would be brought back up in post, because something red desaturated isn't black, it's gray. If you want black, well, you use black. On the flip side, if you want something to remain white, especially while in shadow, well, then you get creative.
This isn't some barroom, bro.
Without color contrast, you rely on black and white contrast. And if you don't have any or enough from your sets, your costumes, or your fluorescent tape,
I like it here.
Well, the problem is that foreground and background objects can start to blend together. You can actually see this bit in Sin City itself in scenes that take place in Katie's saloon. The reason things look a bit muddier compared to other scenes in the movie is because these are some of the few scenes in the film shot on an actual film set. Rodriguez compensated for this slightly by bringing some of the color back, but when you shoot on green screen, well, you get to create your own contrast. You get to light the actors one way, and the digital backgrounds another way entirely, without the physical properties of one necessarily affecting the physical properties of the other.
That was the thing that excited me most about the lighting, is I could finally put lights anywhere I wanted on the set and get the result that you want, and have that sort of perfection to the images that you couldn't do on a normal set because of the limitations of framing and light spill. So when you have someone running through a forest, this would be impossible to keep a constant edge light on them to separate them from the trees. But because we're shooting green screen, I can put him on a treadmill, I can edge light him, creating a very graphic image.
Where most green screen fails is where VFX teams are doing their best to match on-set lighting with digital lighting in order to inch closer and closer towards this deception of realism. But the unique situation here is that the Sin City graphic novels, well, they don't abide by our natural laws of physical lighting and shadows. And so, in an attempt to faithfully translate that style of artwork to the screen, Sin City the movie shouldn't abide by them either. Here, green screen and CG backgrounds, something notoriously and fundamentally fake, becomes not just an aid, but a very apposite solution to a very specific problem. But when it comes to layering and compositing, it isn't just the actors separated from their backgrounds, but also from the foreground. For example, all the rain in Sin City, that white Frank Miller rain, was added in post so that the characters never squint, their hair is never crushed, but also from each other, with different actors in the scene often being shot days, sometimes months apart.
Someone like Brittany Murphy was there for only one day, even though she's in all 3 stories. For instance, she never met Bruce Willis. This sequence here is very odd. Mickey Rourke walks into the bar. There's Jessica Alba, which she was there a whole month after Mickey was gone. He sits down at a table and he's served by Brittany Murphy, who shot one of the last days of shooting, long after Mickey was gone. Then she turns and sees Dwight, who wasn't there at this point when we had shot this. We'd shot this about a week before she showed up. And she serves him a drink. And then Dwight looks over at Mickey, and it's why I'm my own editor, because you don't have to create a little roadmap for yourself. You've got it all in your head, and you can just shoot very quickly and efficiently, because time is of the essence in something like this, with this many actors in this type of movie.
Mickey Rourke shot for the longest, at 2 weeks, sometimes multiple central scenes in a day. Bruce Willis shot for just 10 days, Benicio del Toro for 4.
You wanna see it?
And that was possible because with all green screen, you don't spend time dealing with elaborate setups, set changes, weather, on-location variables, continuity, background action. And because Sin City was necessarily shot on digital, Rodriguez says for the most part, they would just leave the camera rolling. This take on the day, which by the way was for a scene guest directed by Quentin Tarantino, lasted for 14 minutes. That's very long for a take and very, very short for getting an entire piece of coverage.
Like I'm going into my pocket, putting the cigarette on.
Still rolling.
That sounds good to me.
You know, and then do that stuff and, you know, whatever, plop.
In those 14 minutes, they performed it, broke, redirected, discussed, tried again, and ultimately got it.
Shut up!
All without calling cut. As Bruce Willis put it, the whole experience on Sin City was more akin to Playhouse theater than a traditional film. Just a couple of actors, some props, and a piece of set. Of course, it was still a totally new thing, something everybody had to get used to.
Can I just go home, please? Can I just go back to Los Angeles, please?
But after a while,
Fucking great.
it became faster than anything.
Hey! Long fucking years, you fucking brat!
And that embrace and manipulation, technology, creates a look that isn't quite like anything else in movies. I'm Danny Boyd. Thanks for watching.